If these verses are genuine, if they truly preserve words spoken by Yahawashi after his resurrection, then one question demands an answer. Why were they removed from the Bible that most of the world reads? And more importantly, what was removed? The erased words speak of divine light dwelling within humanity, of spiritual awakening, and of a kingdom that exists beyond physical reality. After nearly 2,000 years of silence, these words are demanding to be heard again. So what does this mean for believers today? It means resurrection is not merely a past event. It is a continuous spiritual possibility, available to every person who awakens to the divine presence within themselves. That distinction changes everything. The hidden passages speak of light dwelling in every person, waiting to be recognized. In this understanding, the dead are not only those lying in graves. The dead are those whose hearts have gone numb, whose minds are clouded by hatred, greed, fear, or despair. We have all met such people at different points in our lives. According to the Ethiopian understanding, this spiritual death is precisely what Yahawashi came to heal. To rise again is to become aware, to let inner light replace inner darkness, to wake up from the sleepwalk that most people mistake for living. The Ethiopian Tewahedo tradition captures this truth perfectly. The word Tewahedo means unity. It describes a theology that refuses to separate humanity from divinity. In Western Christianity, there is often a vast gulf between God and humanity bridged only through rituals, intermediaries, doctrines, or institutional authority. Tewahedo teaches something radically different. It insists that the divine spark exists within every person, not as metaphor, but as literal spiritual reality. The separation we feel from God is not real. It is an illusion created by our own blindness. Faith, then, is not about earning divine favor. It is about recognizing the divine presence that was never absent in the first place. When Yahawashi says in the hidden passages that believers will see him where there is no death and no darkness follows, he is not describing a distant heaven reached only after the body stops breathing. He is describing a transformation of consciousness that can happen now in this life, for anyone willing to look within and awaken. Death and darkness lose their power, not because they cease to exist, but because the awakened person no longer identifies with them. They see through the illusion. They recognize that what they truly are cannot be touched by endings. This interpretation does not contradict traditional Christian teaching. It deepens it. The physical resurrection of Yahawashi remains central, the historical foundation upon which everything else stands. But resurrection was never meant to end with him. Consider what this means practically. If resurrection is an ongoing possibility rather than a single historical moment, then every moment becomes charged with meaning. Every choice between compassion and cruelty, awareness and numbness, light and darkness becomes a choice between spiritual life and spiritual death. Faith stops being something you merely believe. It becomes a way of seeing, a discipline of attention, a continuous practice of waking up again and again whenever you realize you have fallen asleep. The hidden message is not that Yahawashi spoke beautiful words after rising from the dead. The hidden message is that resurrection was never meant to belong to him alone. Perhaps this is why these verses were so dangerous to institutional religion. They democratized the sacred. They placed divine access within reach of every individual rather than concentrating it in the hands of priests, pastors, or authorities. They declared that you do not need permission to reach God, that the kingdom not made by hands is already within you, waiting to be recognized. This is not the end of the message. This is the beginning of awakening.